Sandra, hi Sandra. She's the Director of IT and Operations from the Township of Union Public Schools. She's going to be talking to us today about 21st century classroom instruction, a hybrid model, which I'm super excited about. Learn a lot from you, Sandra. So thanks for joining us, Sandra Paul. And do you need presenter screen?
Yes, I do.
Okay. All right, good. So I'm going to make you presenter. And you can share webcam if you like. You don't have to. But you are 3, 2, 1. You're the presenter now.
Okay, hold on a second. Let me close a couple of things here and I will begin.
Yeah. Okay. Okay, we see your screen.
You see my screen, right?
Yeah, I see your desktop.
Oops. Yeah, I did the wrong thing. Hold on a second. Click the wrong thing.
You're tidier than I am, Sandra, on your desktop.
Yeah. So therefore you see my desktop, you don't see my other screen, right?
No, you might have to go.
I'll do this 1 second. Let me change this back.
Okay, good. Now it shows.
Yeah, because I actually have a dual screen.
Okay. Go.
There you go.
Yeah, there it is.
All right, now you see it, right?
Yep. Well, you're good at this. You're good at this. Okay, well, we see your screen. Okay, good. All right. Well, you go, and I'll keep myself on mute unless I hear questions pop up.
All right, no problem. Hi, everyone. Thanks for attending this session. We're going to be talking about 21st century classroom instruction in a hybrid model, basically of what was proposed by our school district. It was proposed, and due to certain guidelines from the state of New Jersey, the district fell into remote learning this September. So we've been doing 100% remote learning. We're in the process of reviewing in order to find out whether or not we'll be moving to hybrid or in-person instruction for the month during the month of November, which will be at the end of our first marking period. I think it would be November 16th, if I'm not mistaken. But welcome. Okay, hello. Now you know what I look like. And I've been in Township of Union Public Schools for 4 years. And one of the great things about our community is that the community is so diverse. It is absolutely amazing. The community is so supportive of the school district in trying to support the technology for what is needed for both the teachers and the students. And it's been a great pleasure being here all these years. And I'm looking forward to the future and the new things that are going to be happening now that we've moved to the new normal. And hopefully we won't be reverting back to doing some of the things that we've done before, but that we can continue doing some of the things what we're doing at this time. Here we go. All right, so previous teaching was done, teacher on the stage, rows of classroom facts, and rote learning, state assessments, mobile, smart devices, all these things. But the problem was a lot of times is that we've gotten to the point with both remote and hybrid learning that this doesn't quite work. It's a little bit different than a teacher, being in front of a classroom, rows of desks. That doesn't exist anymore. Rather than rows of desks, we actually have rows of pictures of kids, video turning up on the screen, that type of thing. So with that in mind, the whole concept of education, the whole concept of instruction has kind of changed. The pedagogy of teaching is definitely taken a 180 turn, and we're all going through this together. No one anticipated that this would happen, and due to that reason, we're all learning basically as we go. So because of that reason, we're trying to all accommodate as much as we can for our students and our teachers, to ensure that the instructional process continues for everyone, all stakeholders in the community. I'm quite sure most of you know about the 4 C's. I'm going to show you this little video. It's not going to be a long video about the 21st century skill.
Hi, Sandra. Just so you know, on this platform, audio won't play, but we can see it.
Okay.
Yeah, but we can see it.
Okay. So we've moved into the new normal, but as we move to the new normal, we have to bring all of those 4C, 21st century skills over to the new normal. And what it has done is forced us to actually have to incorporate those 4Cs in our instructional process rather than being where we were inside the classroom and we basically might have had a choice. Now we have no choice. Every kid has a device. But we have to change how we do instruction, even though we are online. What if we are doing instruction online the same as if what we did in the classroom, we're not fulfilling the requirements of 21st century learning. And not only that, we're in a situation where everybody's online. So because of that, we have to look at how both the teaching and the learning is done in a different way with this new normal. This is a quote Charles Einstein was talking about. We sense that the normal isn't coming back, that we are being born into a new normal, a new kind of society, new relationships to the earth, and a new experience of being human. I'm quite sure if I stopped here and asked you, how do you feel about this quote, everyone would give a different response. Because the whole idea is even just the idea of new relationships, new experience as a human, of being human, it's definitely changed what we've done with the new normal, being that we're in a pandemic. We've been, as a society, we can't go out and sit in a restaurant in certain places. Some places we can't just go to the gym and work out. We're now in a situation where you have to basically almost do everything via an appointment or that type of thing. So unfortunately, there's a sense of isolation, and also this can be very stressful for both teachers, students, administrators, and all stakeholders involved in the instructional process. I don't know if any of you have seen this. This was something that was out on Twitter, where we have students that are trying, they have devices, but we have issues of getting them Wi-Fi. And luckily enough, the person who actually took this picture and everything else, the superintendent in California reached out to the other superintendent in the community, letting them know this happened. And sure enough, they were able to get to these students and be able to get them hotspots that they could use for the instructional process for remote learning. Creativity in a crisis. Sometimes you have to just do what you can in order to get things done. One of the things that I know that some school districts did, they put Wi-Fi on buses and then park the buses throughout the entire community, trying to get internet access to kids, being able to, move our kids forward, both from the aspect of when we were in the very beginning of the pandemic to the point where we are even now still have issues with having Wi-Fi access for some students even in our community right now. Even though we're classified as suburban, we still have a group of students that don't have internet access in our school district, in our community, sorry, I should say. Then there's also the teacher. This was one aspect that I never considered, but there are teachers that are also having problems getting internet access, and also having devices also was something that was not expected. So, there have been teachers that have been sitting in parking lots trying to do their lessons online for students. So these are situations that basically, as a school district, we have been taking into consideration. How can we help out both students and teachers and parents so that the instruction and school, the whole concept of school, can take place during these times? I'm quite sure you guys have seen this, which is the homework gap. And one of the things that also has been shown is that there are certain levels, socioeconomic levels, but there are also certain demographics of students that actually may not have the access to a device, or basically might have no access to internet. One of the things that was kind of interesting for me that happened during the pandemic time was we actually had a student reach out saying that she needed to get a district hotspot because she was a 11th grader, sorry. She was actually had a device because we have a one-to-one at the time from 6th grade to 12th grade. So we handed out devices. And one of the things that we found out after some emails and some discussions with the student is that she was because one of the things I tried to do was make an appointment for her to come in and pick up the device. So I said, can you come by at 9 o'clock? And she says, unfortunately, I can't come, I'm working. So I said, okay, how about, what time should we, work this out? So she says, can I come before work? And I said, okay. I said, can your parents come and get it and everything else? And the situation was during the pandemic, this student's parents both lost their job. So in the beginning, she had internet access because both parents were working. They were able to pay for the broadband access for their home. But because both parents were laid off, they had to cut the internet access. So she, being the one of the students, one of the children, she worked, and because she worked, she was doing her schoolwork when she could, but she just did not have internet access. So I met her one morning. It was really early. I think it was like 7 o'clock in the morning, and she picked up the device and she was able to get her assignments done during the pandemic, and actually continues to do so. The lack of broadband. This is something that also happens for a lot of people in certain communities, as you can see from the economic levels. This has a major impact for students sometimes not having broadband. And even though we are in the state of New Jersey and everyone thinks that, and we're number one in basically educational, aspects as reported by USA Today newspaper or whatever journal, we still have school communities that have these issues of not having broadband for our kids or not having a device for our students. So we were closed. Our governor decided to close our school districts in March. And once they closed the school, we moved directly to remote virtual learning. And many educators and students and parents were kind of unprepared for the entire process. What we did, so here was something that we had to figure out: how we could resolve the problem of lack of internet access, how we could resolve the problem of devices, how could we resolve the problem of online resources, but also something that we didn't anticipate was our K through 4th grade students did not have email accounts. So we are a Google school district. And one of the things with Google is that if you use a Chromebook, you can't sign on to a Chromebook unless you have an email account. And that was something that we had not anticipated when we were closed in March. The other part was the lack of training for our teachers. They also lacked devices. And then there was issues providing services for special education students. So these are just some of the things that we all had to come up with a plan really quickly. We had to figure out how we were going to implement it, and we had to move forward. So this district survey was done on July 8th, right, with our parents, trying to figure out how many parents think they were going to be able to bring back their students to the school district, right? So as you can see, we had like 69.2% of our parents decided that they were going to do just virtual learning for our students. This actually assisted in the decision-making process of whether or not we were going to go hybrid or in-person or virtual for September. So they were also asked about, if we did like a mix of hybrid and virtual, meaning 2 days in, 3 days 100% virtual. As you can see, it was even basically across the entire district of the parents that responded. And then what we also did was we ran a survey out in the end of July asking about how many parents basically had access for internet access. And one of the things you'll notice about this question was without the use of their mobile device, because during the pandemic, we found out quite a few parents were loaning their students their cell phones and stuff, and kids were doing their schoolwork basically on a cell phone. And basically that wasn't what we wanted to see for September. We wanted to see whether or not they actually had a regular device. And then the other thing we also had to take into consideration was, if they were using their mobile device as a hotspot, because many parents were doing that also. So they had a device at home, they were using the mobile device as a hotspot. The problem is that a lot of them ran out on their data plans. And I don't know if any of you have noticed, but using Zoom and Google Meet, especially if you're using video, it eats up a chunk of your data. And because of that, we wanted to find out what would be needed. And also regarding devices, one of the things we also found out is that sometimes parents said, yes, we had a device at home, but sometimes it was the family device. And no, it was the device that everybody in the household used. Or sometimes what would happen during the time of that pandemic from March till June, the parents might have been giving them their device that they were using. Now in September, they may be working remotely, so they need to use that device that they had for their job. So we had to make sure that the student also had a device. What to do? So we collaborated with all our stakeholders and we formulated committees. And so we had to come up with, these are some of the things that we did. We landed up having teacher tech trainers during the summer, our RT staff members, the school administrative security support staff, teachers, they were all made up of for these committees. And it also included parents, because one of the things our governor of New Jersey also required was to ensure that all our stakeholders also included parents. I missed that bullet on here, but I meant to put that there. Sorry about that. Okay, then this is where the committees we formulated. So we actually had a committee that basically was formulated of that about returning to school. So say for instance, how to end the school year. So we ended school year around June 18th. And how we were going to collect all the textbooks, how we were going to collect the Chromebooks, how we were going to do this, how we're going to do that. So that was one of the things we also did. But to move forward into where we are now in September, now we're in October, I'm sorry, but I'm thinking September. We had these committees. And so we had a social emotional learning committee, a sanitation wellness committee, and we also had an education redesign. These were different members, and as you can see, it included all stakeholders. Even had school security involved and school nurses involved in our committees, and we incorporated many of their suggestions, and they met over a series of weeks during the summer in order to come up with what we should be doing for September. I know I'm going through this a little bit fast. Anyone have any questions so far?
Sandra, so far there's no questions, but I'll definitely let you know if any crop up. You're doing great.
Okay, thank you.
You're welcome.
So this is our district reopening plan. Actually, it's a link. When I shared the presentation, it's an actual link to the plan. It's on our district website. So you can see basically, the committees and what they had suggested and come up with and formulated for us as a school district on how we should deal with reopening our school district this September. One of the things that also was we looked at was our governor had decided that we could actually offer 100% virtual remote learning process for our parents in September. Due to certain things regarding some of the ventilation in some of the classrooms. We also had a little bit of an issue with teachers that may not have been able to come back to the school district at this present time. The district decided to open remotely. So because the district decided to open remotely, we are actually 100% remote at this time. But I will go through a little bit about what was discussed as far as the hybrid plan was proposed. So for our hybrid plan included basically that students that were basically in the building would have actually been taught in the building, while there was going to be a set of teachers that were going to be hybrid, meaning that they were, not hybrid, they were going to be remote instructors. So there would be remote instructions that would teach remote students, and then there would be in-school students that would have been taught by in-school teachers. But with the plan was also thought to be, say for instance, let's plan as if we also had this scenario, which you're looking at right here. It's the possibility. So what has been happening is that we've been looking at different aspects of it. The plan is not in stone, just to let you know. We are actually trying to be as flexible as possible, being as gracious as possible to allow the instructional process to take place in what is appropriate for our community. We are looking at our union students and our community of union and trying to provide the services and for the needs of our community. So we've actually looked at a hybrid plan of being like this, where some students would be both in school and also online being able to be taught. But at this present time, we were looking also as one set of teachers just being outside of the school district doing virtual learning, while another set of teachers would be in the school district doing in-person instruction. So we looked at hybrid on both aspects, and that was also a part of the report. With virtual instruction, what happened was we actually have everybody remote at this time. So because of that, everybody is basically at home. We did offer teachers that basically might have had internet or device issues, basically may not have had a device at home, to come into the district and they can actually teach from their classrooms. So they've been able to come into the district, teach inside their classrooms. No students have been here. So they've been able to teach remotely or virtually from their actual classrooms, while students are all at home. So what we needed to do was figure out how to get internet and devices and internet access into the hands of our students. So what we did with getting this done was we had to do a distribution of the devices prior to the beginning of school in September. As I've stated before, we were only one-to-one from 6th grade through 12th grade. Through the CARES Act, the district was able to get devices for our 2nd through 5th grade students. So at this present time, we actually have devices for 2nd grade through 12th grade. That we are one-to-one 2nd grade through 12th grade. So every kid has a device. And with that, we also found out from parents whether or not they needed internet access. So what we did was we actually, through T-Mobile, were able to get some hotspots that the district has been distributing according to the needs of the parents. So if parents reach out to a school or to the IT office, we provide the hotspots for those parents. And actually, during a discussion this morning, we're looking at trying to expand that because there may be more parents that need hotspot devices for access, internet access. The other thing regarding devices, because you notice I said we're 1-to-1 2nd through 12th, the other aspect of the devices is that our governor has something called the Digital Divide Grant that was recently approved and everything else. So we're looking to also provide devices for kindergarten through 1st grade. So basically, this was what our school looked like with our 1-to-1 program. This is one, actually happens to be a picture of one of our middle schools. And the kids were used to using devices at our 6th through 12th grade. So it's brand new for our 2nd through 5th grade students. And it'll be brand new for our kindergarten through 1st grade students. Our process, as you can see, we did a lot of distribution. These were some of the IT teams. In the very beginning, our 6th, 7th, and 8th graders, which are our middle schools level here in our district, we actually had their Chromebooks in carts. So what we had to do was pull apart all the carts, make sure we distributed the Chromebooks to the students, and making sure that they had the ability, they were either coming by the school to pick it up. And I would like to do a big shout out to the entire union support staff, teachers, and everything else. They were amazingly helpful. Our administrators worked out a plan. They were able to get teachers that were able to help us with the distribution. I have a very small IT staff. So that's the reason why you don't see a whole bunch of people hanging around in some of these pictures. But they actually stepped up. They helped us out so much with the distribution of devices, making sure that they went out to the kids, helped us with the assignments. They were absolutely wonderful in supporting my department in making sure this got done for our community. We also have what is called a teacher technology team, which is the T3, and they provided a lot of the training for our teachers during the summer. So actually they have a YouTube channel. If you go to our district website, you can find the teacher technology team website, and they have a YouTube channel that teachers can go to using the different resources we have in the school district. So that's all there. We did a lot during the summer. We did a lot of live training. We basically had an average of about 100 teachers for each training session. So because of that, we tried to do as much training as we could. Like I said, we actually Googled, for basically kindergarten through 5th grade might have been something that we didn't anticipate that we had to get done. But sure enough, the assistant director of technology, who is a wonderful person, he did a fantastic job organizing this, getting all of this done so that our teachers were able to be trained during the summer. And because it's on a YouTube channel, the teachers can go back there at any time during the school year and be able to take a quick look at that to get more training. So these are just some of the stuff that we did training on. So we did Google Apps, BrainPop, Nearpod, Vocabulary, Discovery Ed, Edpuzzle. These are just some of the resources that we provided and for our teachers so that they could use it within their instructional process. I mean, we use a lot of Google Classroom. A lot of these things are links into Google Classroom. But the other thing we did was single sign-on using Clever. So when the younger students sign on to their Chromebook device, it actually brings up a Clever website. So with the Clever website, it just has these little icons on their screens, so they just click on it and then they go directly in because it's using their Google credentials in order to sign on to these services. So one of the things that we try to do because of our because of being virtual, we wanted to make it more synchronous type of instructions for this September. And this is where we were using a lot of Google Meets, or we're using Zoom. And the instruction is either virtual or via hybrid model, in the sense of, you know, what we're maybe doing in the month of November for our students this coming up semester for our students. I mean, end of the marking period for our students. So as I was talking previously, you know, we were able to get CARES Act grant money, and, you know, that's where we were able to get the one-to-one for the 2nd through 5th grade. We also have, because we were able to get money from this Digital Divide grant, and then we had district funds where we were trying to get the replacement cycle for our high school students. And one of the things we did was our hotspots, we did not purchase our hotspots through the grants. What we did was we did it directly with district funding. And the reason why we did that is we are hoping that E-rate and the FCC will provide the ability for school districts to get discounts, or get a discount or reimbursement for our costs for these services for hotspots. And, you know, if anyone here who's on this call knows how to reach out to the FCC or, you know, E-rate to try and push this forward with our legislature, you know, please do reach out to them, because I think this is something that we need to do. But this would be an ongoing cost to the school district. And because of that, I thought it would have been much better to be on the district funds than being that a grant, because most grants are just a one-time, you know, pot of money that's given to you that you have to spend, and then you may not have the ability to use it ongoingly. Not ongoing. For cybersecurity, we use GoGuardian, and then we also use our Google Admin Console. For our GoGuardian, we actually are able to see, you know, what websites the kids go to. We have certain things blocked that they have cannot do. We have certain things blocked in Google Admin that the students can't do. Like sometimes the students try and power wash their Chromebooks, but once they power wash it and everything else, it goes right back and comes back saying that it's managed by the school district once they get onto their school Wi-Fi. You know, those are some of the things we wanted to make sure of. And the T-Mobile hotspots all have web filtering on it, which fulfills the requirement for the SEPA and COPA guidelines of the federal SEPA and COPA guidelines. So we wanted to make sure we were also making sure we were following the guidelines for cybersecurity. We did our distribution. These are just some of our staff members that were kind of helping us out to distribute these Chromebooks out for our 2nd through 5th grade students. As you can see, we had Chromebooks. I even had Chromebooks in my own office, sitting everywhere, because we wanted to distribute them according to the building, and there were Chromebooks everywhere. Some of the behind scenes configuration was when we had to decide on single sign-on using Clever, we had to make sure that it integrated with many of the online services that we had. So we had to make sure, you know, students' information that was being shared, making sure that it wasn't going to be anything that was detrimental, making sure contracts with some of these companies were basically following the guidelines for student security and privacy. So there were a lot of behind scenes things we had to do. Like I said, one of the things we didn't anticipate was having to create these accounts for students at the lower levels. So we had to create email accounts. Thank goodness it's just a CSV file that you upload for bulk uploading. But those are just some of the things we had to do basically behind the scenes for the configurations. What we plan to do in the future, like I said, we're in the possibility of reevaluating what we're going to be doing for hybrid or in-person instruction. We're looking at, you know, providing devices for teachers, increasing online resources, changes in our curricula and instructional process, and also doing a lot more blended learning, especially if we come back to in-person instruction. We're hoping to incorporate a lot more with blended learning and project-based learning for our students. And these these things would help us basically fulfill the requirements for our students, ensuring that they have the 4 C's for 21st century skills. Thank you. And does anyone have any questions?
Okay, so, wow, a lot of work, a lot of work. This is Leilani. I'm pulling everybody.
In a very short time.
Yeah, in a very short time. And you had to do it all overnight. Hearing that from a lot of districts, Sandra, from all over the country, how much they went into high gear. So I'm watching for questions come in. I think most people are already unmuted. So if you want to unmute yourself or raise your hand, your little digital hand symbol that's on your dashboard, please do. I may call on some people, you know how I am. But in the meantime, I'm going to say a couple things about kind of all the work that you've been doing. Getting devices out in a short order of time, that's no small thing. What about also the sanitation and all that stuff? What happened with all that?
Well, the sanitation and everything else, what we did was we actually sanitized them ourselves. So one of the things we did was basically, I actually bought, I don't know if you guys have seen it, the sanitation. I don't have the little sanitation guns, but I did buy sanitation devices. So we actually have like a backpack spray thing that we use. And basically we cleaned them ourselves. So we did a lot of that type of thing to make sure that we were able to clean all the devices. The new devices that came in, we do what is called white glove. And with the white glove, we were able to give them the ability to, with the white glove, what we did was we actually asked the vendor to configure the Chromebooks before they got here. Like I stated before, we have a small IT team. So due to that reason, I had to, pull on different services from different vendors and different people. And what they did was they white gloved it, meaning that they had it configured already for our network. They had it configured already for our students. So when we actually did the distribution, we handed it out. But part of the white glove was I also requested that every device be cleaned. So they cleaned the devices before we handed them out and everything else. Other than that, we as an IT team, we cleaned our devices ourselves. Everybody was, all the IT team was given PPEs, making sure that everybody followed the guidelines of CDC, 6 feet apart, making sure, but the team came up with a great way of doing it. They did like processes of different stations, like one person sprayed, one person wiped, one person, checked the operating system, one person did this. So it was kind of one of those things, and they got through it. And like you said, it was done in a very short time, because one of the things I missed completely that I didn't talk about was we did the end of school around June 18th. We had to turn around and then clean devices and get devices ready because we had summer school. So we had to turn around and get over 300 devices available for our summer school program. Then we had to, when we got those out, distributed to our students that needed that, we needed to make sure we collected everything, clean them again, and then turn around and then redistribute them for September. So just to let you know, this was not a small task. And kudos to my IT staff. They are amazing. They're amazing people. And they went over and beyond in trying to get this done. My assistant director, he is absolutely wonderful, trying to take on the task of making sure we train people. He did a lot of the behind scenes stuff with working with Clever, making sure students' email accounts were created, making sure all of that stuff. He did a lot of that stuff. So, he's, so just to let you know, it was a team effort, and it was a community effort, because besides, principals, teachers, security people, we've had secretaries helping us out with ensuring that about the distribution, maintenance of equipment. It was a complete effort of all stakeholders to try and get this done. And I so appreciate everyone in our community, and so appreciate that I work in such a supportive environment in the Township of Union.
Yeah, I think one of the underspoken, the thing we haven't been really talking about very much in any of these is the fact that this moment, this emergency, caused a sense of community like we've never had before. People coming together in a sort of robust, work attitude, 24/7, all across America. It's really been an amazing lift. We see that, as learning counselors, because we've talked to so many administrators in the course of the last 5 months. People who've told us things like they had teachers on Zoom meetings basically all day, every day, and then work until midnight, getting their lessons ready for the next day, having to call
we have that too.
Yeah, having to call those teachers and go, hey, so, I need you to take some personal time too. Just, you need a little bit of life, take a nap,
Yeah, actually my IT team, they will, I'm not sure if they will tell you, but I actually told all of them, I said, you need to take vacation now. I said, take vacation now before we decide to come back to school, because if we come back to school, there's going to be another flood of stuff coming. Try and take, we have a slight, when I say slight, extremely slight lull right now, and knowing how things work, it'll not last. So I've been telling them, take your vacation time now, and or even whatever you need, try and take it right now. And they know, and they've been trying to take off some time or whatever it is, because like I said, they were amazing on what they did during the pandemic from March to June, then to get preparation for the summer school, the after summer school program, and then getting ready for September. They have been an amazing crew, and I so appreciate them.
Yeah, it's amazing. And the camaraderie reminds me of old stories where, a ship's captain doesn't see the crew come together and work as a crew until they've been in a high seas storm together, and they've all had to really make it work so the ship didn't go down. And that's kind of what it feels like in education right now, particularly where you're at. New York, New Jersey, last superintendent I talked to, they were the first ones to tell me they had families who had had a death in the family, and that's not really real to a lot of other states that didn't get impacted, at least not yet, in the same order of magnitude that you guys did on the East Coast. So have you been seeing, has some of that impacted you in your area?
Yes, I mean, we actually have some students that have lost family members. We've had even support staff members that have lost, actually not only support staff, teachers and stuff like that have lost family members. And it's not taken for granted, because it may not have affected me personally, but at the same time, I do understand. And because of that, we try our best to help them out as much as we can. We even, say for instance, provide resources for, social and emotional learning. That's the reason why that entire committee was so important to us, because that committee needed to be, come up with suggestions on how we can support our students and teachers during this time. And, we have teachers that are balancing that they're a teacher, but then they have children at home and they're trying to get them online while they're actually teaching classes and stuff like that. So it has been a struggle, but the thing about it is that, like I said, the community has been amazing. And, the teachers, they have stepped up. So they have gone so far over and beyond. I don't even know how to express in words how great everyone in the school district and in the community has done during this time.
Yeah, and I can hear that in you. It makes me a little bit emotional, Sandra.
It's been hard. Don't get me. It has been hard, and I'm not going to tell you that there aren't things that are not lacking. We're still, there's still things we're trying to go through, but we're all trying to be patient. We're trying to show each other grace and to be, a little bit on the kinder scale. Trying to be kinder. That mindful of each and everyone's individual needs, and also as a community.
Yeah, Yeah, you have to. Well, I want to ask you a ton more questions, but I have you joining us for the last hour panel as well. And you've been on here for 45 minutes already. Should I have you take a little break while I just open up conversation with others and then have you come back in 10 minutes or so? Is that
Yes,
okay?
if you don't mind giving me a couple of minutes.
Yeah, let's do that. Let's do that, Sandra. So you go ahead and shut off your mic for now, and I'm going to call on some of the people that have joined us. Make sure that we have them introduced so they're not out there being lonely and just listening in. So Matthew Chauvin, you're self-muted. Do you want to unmute? That'd be great. Like to hear from you. Will Devenport. I hope I said that right. I'm always embarrassed if I say people's names wrong. If you want to unmute and share, I'd like to find out kind of where you guys are from. I'm looking at your email addresses, but I don't really know where some of those places are. Loretta Dupins, if you want to unmute, I'd like you to share. Elsie Hicks, you're unmuted. Where are you from? I'm not familiar.
I'm Loretta Duffins. I'm from Hyattsville, Maryland. I work for PG County Public Schools.
Okay, well, thanks. You've been on for quite a while. What's your takeaways so far? What's happening?
Well, one of the things I perceive happening is each school district is unique because of the population that they teach, the environmental factors, the economic levels of the parents and students. So each program has to be unique to the population that they have to deal with. So as I listened to her talk about her school district, it made me think about mine, because one of the things that's happened, Prince George's County, Maryland has lost, within the state of Maryland, has had more COVID deaths than any other county. Not only that, we lost 2 coworkers, dear coworkers of ours, during the first week and a half of the COVID announcement. So it's near and dear to us because we know the impact of it because of the immediate decisions that had to be made, especially physically within our school building. So this, I can't perceive this changing anytime soon. And the reality is that we have to acknowledge that some decision makers aren't making appropriate decisions. And it's like the domino effect. And it's filtering down. And the fact that we've lost teachers, it breaks my heart.
Mm-hmm. Breaks my heart. Yeah, Loretta, I feel you. You guys are in a true COVID reality where you guys have actually seen deaths, right? Like another superintendent that we talked a while ago with from New York. There's other parts of the country that it's sort of, not real to them.
And that's the sad part.
What's that?
And I said, and that's the sad part, because it's real. I mean,
Yeah.
Some people perceive this as not existing. It's just something that's going to disappear with the magic wand, and that's not the way it is. And this is the new normal. And she stated, this is the new normal for right now.
Yeah,
and
so let's talk about that for a second for you guys in Prince George's. Like, do you feel like there's going to be a major structure shift with more flexibility? Because, if you've been living this, you've got parents who are like, I'm not coming back for another year, or I'm disassociated.
I think it has, it's especially, well, we have to understand too that recently the governor of Maryland said we can go back to brick and mortar. But my problem is that the people that make these decisions for us, meaning teachers, staff, etc., bus drivers, are not the ones that are in the struggle. So I can make a decision for you because it's not directly going to impact my survival or my perception of what education should be. So when you have these people making these decisions for us and not taking our lives, our livelihood into consideration, it becomes very frustrating because we can't control their decisions, but they're attempting to control ours.
Yeah, I think that's been one of the things with governance nationally, right? So you have a situation where what's unique to one area is not happening in some other area. And so anytime you make autocratic, everyone's the same decision,
Exactly.
it's not workable. So what are the bright spots? What kind of bright spots have you been seeing? I mean, what kind of come togetherness, get the stuff out there, get kids to what's happened?
Well, we've created various platforms where the teachers, since we're, working remotely from home, that we can communicate with each other.
Good.
They've created programs within my physical school. We've developed some Google platforms where we can acknowledge the parents and interact with the parents more cohesively. So our physical school, even though some people work from the school 5 days a week. I'm not one of them, but it's a few teachers who decided to physically go back into the school because of their home environment. They have younger children and whatnot. Mm-hmm. So I think this is going to change our perspective of how education will occur in the future. What we're seeing now, and I don't know, our deadline to go back is January 29th, 2021, but I don't foresee the pandemic getting better prior to that time period. So we have to remain focused on making this remote teaching, as she stated, in the union public schools. We have to make it cohesive for our parents and our students, because we have a high percentage of undocumented workers. So we have to make our education conducive to the fact that some people have lost their parents, some people have lost their jobs, their homes. No one's considering that. So there's so many variables that have to be included in this remote teaching umbrella.
Yeah. This is like it's a moment, right? Well, I'm grateful that you shared out, because I think what you're expressing is a mood, right? Like that's really, really real. I'm gonna make sure I call on some other folks too. Loretta, thank you for sharing, and I'm glad you did. Mark Stott, you're on the line. It doesn't look like your audio's on the, oh, sorry. Your audio's not working, Mark, but hopefully you're listening in. Matthew Chauvin, you are unmuted on our side. If you could unmute on your side, I'd like to hear from you. I know you're from St. Charles. Stephanie Johnson, you're also unmuted on our side. Stephanie, you want to weigh in on some of this stuff that we've been talking about? How are you doing, Stephanie?
I'm well. Excuse me, I'm well.
Good. What's your thoughts on everything that Sandra just shared? She obviously took a big journey there. I think you're muted again, Stephanie.
Oh, I'm sorry. Yes. Okay. Yes. As you're saying, for us to try to do that here or doing that here with Jackson.
Yeah.
I'm asking a question. Are you asking me, what are my thoughts on trying to model that here?
Yeah. What are you guys doing?
I think like I say, it's a lot of districts, everyone is doing something a little similar to that. Yes, but not all. You have some, and then of course, since this outbreak has happened, we've had some with some cases. They've actually went straight virtual. But before that, they were trying that where they had a few days on, a few days off. So that I have not really heard one way or the other, because we just still been having the issues with maybe having to do virtual because some people have been, exposed to the virus. So I'm just not sure to comment.
Okay. All right, I got it.
Hello, my name is Horacio Choa, and I am the head of marketing at Bloomz, the mobile and web app helping thousands of schools communicate better with parents, students, and other staff. Today, I want to share with you a quick story about learning and growth. As you know, the coronavirus pandemic hit hard on all schools around the country, causing school closures and many empty seats. In the first few weeks, we opened up our premium platform to any school who needed it, and we received a huge response. Through the process, we learned a lot, like how many schools didn't have a communication solution prior to the pandemic. but more importantly, our need for a strong backend infrastructure. Thanks to our engineering team, though, we were able to respond with great improvements on stability and scalability. We also learned how much teachers needed a complete solution for remote learning. And we've turned that into a major overhaul to our platform and a new feature called assignments. Finally, we learned about an ongoing need for health screenings of students and staff to help monitor and track symptoms according to CDC guidelines. This is now also possible within Bloomz. If you, like many other administrators, learn that your school or district needs a solid communication platform, particularly in these times of distance learning, then I invite you to watch this video with me to learn why you need to consolidate all communication into one platform. Thank you very much for having us.
Are you one of those school or district administrators using many of the so-called free apps to communicate with students, parents, and staff? Truth is, these apps are not always free. They all offer you basic functionality for free and charge for more useful upgraded features. Then, as you grow more dependent on these apps, you'll find yourself in the future needing to upgrade to multiple services, so you're only postponing a bigger burden on your budget. Carrying multiple apps at your school causes inefficiencies from teachers switching from one app to the other. Meanwhile, parents are confused and disengaged because of the many sources of information. Plus, with every new app come new security and privacy risks. There is, however, an all-in-one solution for you. It's called Bloomz. Bloomz reduces the amount of apps school and district administrators need to communicate with parents, students, and staff within their schools or between them. It gives principals peace of mind by concentrating all parent and student information in one single, compliant, and safe platform. Bloomz improves parental engagement by giving parents one single source for all information, including school announcements, calendar of events, student reports, emergency alerts, and more. So, if you're using different apps to communicate with your staff, students, and parents, now you can streamline the process while increasing engagement and security. Sign up for a free consultation today at bloomz.com/schools.